Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Sunday morning, the 1st of August. And we seem to be going downhill this morning already from a technical standpoint because I can't seem to get my switcher to work. Oh, this is grand. No properties available. Oh, good Lord. Do we need to do this? Oh, good Lord. Why did this have to happen? I can't. It's just like, really? I mean, even Mrs. Bundy is astounded by all of this. All right, let's see if I can try to do this a different way. It's just wonderful to start off a Sunday morning where nothing's working. So that's always fun. Let's try this. So, Joe, while I'm sort of searching for what to resolve this technical issue, no properties available. This is not good. I can't switch from maps to maps. I got a great picture from Michael Lazaro, who sent us a picture of the tornadoes that moved across New Jersey. But 8 confirmed tornadoes. 8, not 1, not 2, not 3. But 8 confirmed tornadoes last Thursday. I'm sorry, it was Thursday if I said Friday earlier. My head's already not in the game. Um, eight confirmed tornadoes, and I believe one of them was an EF3 that ran through eastern Pennsylvania. I mean, that just to me is just astounding.
I mean that only buttresses what the storm prediction folks were saying about Friday, Joe. It's very unusual to see anything more than slight chance for our part of the country, but they stuck that enhanced chance into parts of New Jersey and Pennsylvania for Friday, and lo and behold, 8 tornadoes. So that pretty well verifies their thoughts and their prediction for something a little bit more than usual. And indeed, that was the case.
And guess what? Methinks I have everything working, sort of. Okay, the Joe and Joe
I see
weather.
a white box. A white box is rolling across
Yeah,
my
no,
screen here.
I fixed it up. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, on Long Island. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number for the best prices in town on hardware, mulch, gravel, and hurricane preparedness, emergency preparedness supplies. If the severe weather left on Friday, one thing in your mind, I mean, it's sort of hard to be prepared for tornadoes, but it's good to have some emergency preparedness supplies handy just in case, especially when it comes to tropical storms and hurricanes. And also brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. And they're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, also on Long Island. So you can get your stuff, your emergency preparedness supplies, and then go over to Wholesale Holiday Lighting in Lindenhurst and think about how you're going to decorate your house for Christmas, or maybe you want to do this as a business. 631-957-5106. liholidaylighting.com is the website. And now I have the picture up there that Michael Azara sent us. And this was taken, the view was from Washington Crossing in New Jersey.
Ooh,
And
ooh.
look at that. I mean, that was impressive. I mean, very impressive. And of
And a little
course,
scary too.
oh yeah. I mean, this is not usually, tornadoes are not really that common up where we are. So in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England doesn't mean they don't happen. They just are uncommon, particularly when you start getting into EF2s or higher. I mean, those are really rare events. And also, I think this is probably a good time. I want to bring up, it is astounding to me, and I think it needs to be reviewed. Those of you that are on various weather apps, you're looking usually at computer generated forecast outlooks, and they don't not only are not good at showing you the specifics, but also they are so generalized that even if you're in an area where you didn't wind up getting severe weather, might have planned your day around the fact that there were going to be showers and thunderstorms, and this is the nature of these small scale events. You can identify the areas where the risks are, but if you're looking for somebody to pinpoint the actual timing and position of any given thunderstorm that's going to develop on that day, that's just not going to happen. You can kind of give a general view and understand when those risk areas are put up that that's what they mean. You're at risk. It doesn't mean that it's certitude that you're going to wind up with thunderstorms or severe weather, because as usual, you get a bunch of folks that complain about the fact that they had thunderstorms in the forecast and they didn't get them. And then you juxtapose that against, there's a $10 word, juxtapose. You juxtapose that against those areas near you that got substantial damage from these thunderstorms and these tornadoes, and you complain about this? I mean, come on, wake up. That's just nonsense. Understand the fluidity and the variability that exists in weather, particularly in small scale events. Otherwise, you're sort of banging your head against a wall expecting to get rid of a headache. It doesn't happen. You're only going to make your headache worse.
When I was on television from time to time, and I got more than my fair share of emails from people who said, "You people, you have all of your special computer information or whatever. Why can't you tell me if I'm going to have a thunderstorm over my house?" And then they'll even list where they live, like Yonkers. "How come you can't tell me if I'm going to have a thunderstorm in Yonkers at 4:30 when I'm having my big outdoor barbecue with all of these people coming?" And I always came back with them with the baseball analogy. Do you go to Yankee Stadium? Yes, I do. Do you sit in your specific seat and intend to watch the game? Yes, I do. And you understand that during the course of a 9-inning game, there are going to be any number of foul balls hit into the stands. Absolutely right. Well, now you tell me, before the game even starts, where each foul ball is going to land at what particular section and hit what specific seat. Well, you can't do that. Guess what?
Bingo! Ding, 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 ding.
I mean, we know that they're going to be, the situation is ripe for foul balls at Yankee Stadium on a specific day at a specific time. And the same thing holds true with weather. I mean, you know that on a specific warm, sticky, humid day, maybe an upper air system is coming by or a cold front is coming in, you know that there's going to be thunderstorms. But can I tell you specifically to the moment, to the hour, where a thunderstorm is going to occur over what city? No, but we can tell you the possibilities are ripe for.
Sure. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
And I didn't even know that.
Well, you didn't know that was, it was, we forecasted that you would sneeze. We just didn't know when. And thankfully, we knew where, because you turned your head and blew it out that way instead of blowing it toward me.
I didn't want to, blow it towards you and everybody on the chat board.
Look,
so, anyway, you get the picture. You get the idea.
Yeah, well, there's two characteristics with people like that. Three. One is they think they know everything. They're experts at everything that everybody else does, but they're not, necessarily even experts in the things they do know. Second, they think the entire world rotates around their axis. And what was the third thing? There was a third thing. Yes, exactly. Spin that wheel, get $1, win $1,000 in a bonus spin. If it lands on the green sections, you win $5,000 more. If it lands on the dollar, you win $10,000 more.
This, by the way, was brought back to me by my son, who actually went on his own to visit a friend in Thailand, and he was only like 20 or 21 years old. Can you imagine sending your 20-year-old all the way halfway around the world to a distant land like Thailand? And he was there for like a week or 10 days. And he did not even spend much time communicating with us via email or social media. And he could have. And it was that he told us all that he did, including he showed us pictures. Joe, he had a picture of him sitting next to a tiger, and he's holding the tiger. I said, "What the heck were you doing next to a tiger?" And doing all kinds of crazy stuff, that
Well,
I would have,
the
beauty, lost all of my hair.
The beauty of youth. All right, let's just get back to the tornado, the one particularly in Ben Salem in Pennsylvania. I mean, if you go on Google and just Google the Ben Salem tornadoes,
Ben Salem.
Yeah, I mean, really, you look at this, and the EF3 would identify that winds were in excess of 140 miles an hour. I mean, look at this. I mean, totally, houses totally gone. I can't even imagine this. I mean, these are just horrific. So, if there's a takeaway, and by the way, one more shot here, so you can actually where'd it go? All right, there it is. Wait, that was that one. Look at that, Joe. I mean, that's just crazy stuff. And here's what it looked like from the sky view. As it moved through eastern Pennsylvania. And then, of course, that the whole complex carried across central New Jersey near Trenton, and then fired up again down in coastal Jersey, Southern Ocean County southward. And the damage was extensive there as well. If there's one, if there's one takeaway from this, pay attention to those SPC's severe weather risk areas, and if they wind up not producing severe weather, just be thankful and go on from there. Meanwhile, we do have for today another round of severe weather risk, but it is different than what we had on Thursday, and among other things, we don't have dew points climbing up into the 70s. We also have a bit of a marine layer thanks to a high that's out to the northeast. And that's the reason why, if you look along the coastal areas, say, of New Jersey and also southern New England, back to about the lower Hudson Valley in New York City, the edge of the marginal risk is further inland. And also the slight risk is up in northeastern and north central Pennsylvania and much of southern New York, up to about maybe the Hudson River or just west of the Hudson River, and going back into the Catskills, and also a little zone of general down in Maryland and Delaware. And again, that's the wedge of that high that's kind of built back southwestward. And then you have another warm sector generated area of risk from coastal South Carolina, from Myrtle Beach, and then covering eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, with marginal risk swinging back down along the Gulf states. The dynamics today, Mr. Rayo, are nothing like the dynamics that we had last Thursday.
No, after last Friday.
No, it was Thursday.
Didn't you say Friday before?
I did by mistake, and I corrected myself. It was Thursday.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yes. Well, we said that leading out of last week, when we were looking at this particular threat coming our way for later today and tonight, that the dynamics were indeed nothing like what we had this past back on Thursday. The air certainly is not as juicy, if I may use that terminology. And I think in terms of the Cape, I haven't looked at the plumes today or this morning, which give a forecast of the Cape. But if I recall, whereas they had like 2,000 plus Cape, which is an indication of possible severe weather on Thursday, there was just a small fraction of that for later today and tonight. And they don't even have, Joe, when you look at the Storm Prediction Center forecast in the slide zone, they don't even have a mention of tornadic activity. There's always that chance of a renegade funnel cloud or a tornado in any slight risk area, even if they do not say that poses a threat. So you always have to be leery whenever there is a slight risk of severe weather, but it certainly does not look like what we had when they posted not just slight, but enhanced possibility of severe weather. You see that enhanced, and you know that something is going to be cooking. When the bell rings and it's time for severe weather to start acting up. So
right.
Yeah, nothing like what we saw on Thursday, but still enough so that some of you will see a little bit of that activity later today.
Now, the area that the risk down to the south in Virginia and North Carolina, that is warm sector risk. So they are in. They've got their dew points up above 70, and they are more. That area has a shot for tornado risk here, 2 to 5% being indicated by the Storm Prediction Center there. But as you pointed out, Joe, there's no the risk in the areas in the Northeast are 2% or less than 2%, which is why there's nothing on the map. 15% risk for wind and a 5% risk for hail is being indicated. The one good thing about the week ahead, the way things are looking up because of this front stalling out to the east and cool, dry, high pressure that's going to at least initially come in for tomorrow into early Tuesday, is that the weather risks, I think, this week for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England will not include severe weather risk.
Right. Yes.
So that's at least is a plus. And by the way, I have the surface map, and you can kind of see what's going on here. What we were referring to with respect to how the risk sets up. You've got this leftover dry high that is southeast of Cape Cod. At least one center is southeast of Cape Cod, and there's probably another one up in the Gulf of Maine, looking at the wind field. But then you head down into Virginia, North Carolina, where you have a weak stalled out frontal boundary. Now you look at the dew points that are already at 8 o'clock this morning. We're already up in the low 70s. In fact, I think that Wilmington had a dew point of 80, and so had Myrtle Beach. 81 temperature of 82 with a dew point of 80 to start the day. I mean, talk about saturated in tropical air. And
good Lord.
Yeah, and in the meantime, the second front, the front that of importance today, is running through upstate New York, low in Lake Ontario, trailing front down in through northern Indiana, central Illinois. But that high is kind of just sort of wedged in here. We just don't have the push. There's so much dry air that came in yesterday that we don't have a strong enough push to dislodge it. Because if we had a situation where, let's say, that low in Lake Ontario was a primary deepening low, you didn't have that frontal boundary to the south to trap the tropical air. If that low were a deepening low and were the kind of system that was forcing tropical air to rapidly take those dew points up from the low 50s to the low 70s, and a cold front swinging through, then we would be probably dealing with some pretty hefty thunderstorms for late today and into the first part of tonight. But because that's not happening, we can at least, the risk is there in those areas where we're seeing risk, but it should not be widespread thunderstorms today, tornado producing type thunderstorms with what's going on today.
I think that the best chance for our area, Joe, now this is where I differ with the folks at the Storm Prediction Center, because the Storm Prediction Center is saying that the best chance for any kind of thunderstorm activity today would be up until about 8 o'clock tonight, and then the threat would diminish thereafter. But from what I've been looking at, the various short-term models, it seems to me that the best chance for thundery weather here might hold off until maybe 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight, maybe a bit into the late evening. It certainly, to me, though, does not look like, in either case, based on the Storm Prediction Center or what I've been looking at, it doesn't appear that for the immediate moment and for the next several hours that you need to worry about any kind of showery or thundery weather. It would be held off until later today or sometime early tonight.
Well, where they have the risk areas, the slight risk areas, is where the SPC is thinking that those areas, thunderstorms will be before 8 p.m. We're covered in that general thunderstorm area. So by the time those storms get here, it's after dark. You don't have the daytime heating anymore to help juice it up. The dew points aren't there. So I agree with you. Most of the thunderstorms that'll, if they do approach, they probably will be after 8 or 9 o'clock tonight in areas from southern New England down through New Jersey, maybe a little earlier than that in eastern Pennsylvania and western New Jersey. But the timing, also helps in keeping the thunderstorms, let's call them reasonable as opposed to unreasonable. Rainfall this week by WPC. Now, a lot of this is going to be predicated on there's two waves of low pressure that are going to develop on this front that's going to move through and then stall out to our east. One coming up later Tuesday into Tuesday night, another one probably later Thursday into Friday. And of course, we always seem to struggle here with regards to being on the edge of something. And if you look at the rainfall profile from WPC, they got big rainfall amounts this week, particularly down in the Carolinas where they're looking at 10 inches or more of rain being forecast. In fact, that yellow area is a 15-inch plus rainfall that's cutting right along the coastal areas, and that heavy rain going back down to the Florida Panhandle. The northern edge of 2.5 inches kind of straddles coastal New Jersey and is just off the south shore of Long Island. I'm kind of thinking that first wave for Tuesday, I don't know what Joe and I never really discussed too much, if at all, what we're thinking and what we're forecasting until the show. I kind of thought the first wave would be a little flatter and a little further east, and maybe the coastal areas could perhaps get grazed with some rain from that for a few hours. And then the second wave, where the models have been kind of going a little bit back and forth in terms of being a little further east or a little further west, I thought the second wave probably had the better chance for later this week to come up and give us soaking rain for a while later Thursday into early Friday. That was my initial viewpoint on all of that.
Well, the GFS the last few days has been really hammering the Northeast with lots of rain from your second wave, Joe. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 24 to 36 hours, the GFS is kind of backing off on really hefty rainfall. But guess what? The model that really wasn't, playing that up all that much. Now, the European is saying, hey, maybe by Friday, we'll be looking at some very heavy rainfall across much of New York State and into New England. So all of a sudden, they have kind of switched places. You can't get these models, it seems, on the same page at the same time. One goes one way, the other goes the other way, and then they seemingly, for some strange reason, they switch off and they say, "Oh, all right," it's so maddening. And on top of everything else, when you look at what I call the referee model, which is the Canadian model, the CMC model, the Canadian says, "What are you talking about? There ain't going to be a wave," and keeps not only keeps much of the Northeast dry, except for maybe some diurnal pop-ups here and there Friday and Saturday, but also keeps it mainly cloud-free.
Yep.
And I don't know what to say about next week.
By the way, and the NAM model on the first wave has nothing. I mean, doesn't have anything even remotely close. Unlike the GFS, which I have on the screen right now, this is what it has for Tuesday afternoon. You can see the first wave come up and graze the coastal areas with some rain. Obviously, if you're further inland, you're not going to get anything. And yeah, the second one now all of a sudden is flatter. It brings rain grazing the coast Thursday night into Friday morning, and then that goes out. And yeah, you're right. It is maddening how these models have been pretty much all summer long, where they kind of go the opposite directions on each run, and then on every other run they switch off, and what one was doing on one run, the other one winds up doing on the next. And it's you're trying to what the setup is. And we talked about this last week, this upper trough, this very deep upper trough coming into the eastern part of the United States for today. The bottom part of that trough is going to lag behind. And you see it here on the GFS, for example. This is for Wednesday evening with an upper low in southern Indiana and this southwest flow. It's not really south-southwest, it's southwest. Is running up the East Coast. So, the front is lying offshore, and to the east of that, you've got this big upper high that's building east of Bermuda and sort of building back westward. So a lot of this is going to really hinge on, I think, the strength of that ridge. If that ridge builds a little stronger, it's going to turn the flow more southerly along the East Coast. And yeah, that's where you're going to wind up maybe bringing up a second soaking rain. And the European is, I think, where is why the European is looking at that. I think the European is saying, you see the matched up view now. As I switch off to the European has a much deeper upper low back in Kentucky and a bit more of a south-southwest flow along the East Coast. And you see what happens between Thursday night and Friday. The flow basically becomes southerly from Virginia northward as that high starts to pinch into the northwest. And and you get this short wave right here. The leftovers of that upper low, that short wave, lifts up in that negatively tilted fashion like that. Yeah, you're going to wind up with a pretty solid soaking rain here Thursday night into Friday of this week. But how are the models handling this lagging trough remains to be is the mystery that remains to be resolved.
Yes, and again, it gets kind of maddening for those who are looking forward to not tomorrow or the next couple of days, but looking ahead to next weekend. And I see Bill Rogers on the chat board is asking about a weather update for Stellafane, which is up in Vermont, and where Renat and I plan to be next weekend. And Bill, just to point out, because I know you live in that area, I hope you've made your reservation, because they are not, unlike other years, because of the COVID or the pandemic, they're not going to allow people just to come in and register at the gate. I asked, and Dennis Cassia, by the way, I don't know if he's on today. He's one of the people who's going to be at the gate, manning, and so is his wife Kim, womaning the people coming in to the big field, the campgrounds. And I said, what are you going to do? What are you going to tell somebody who's traveled, let's say, 3 or 4 hours just to get there? What are you going to tell them if they don't have a reservation in advance? And I'm glad I don't have that job, because you just know somebody's going to do that. Somebody's going to go arrive and say, "Hey, I'm here," and well, I'm sorry, we can't let you in. Stellafane is not. I'm not going to say it's a Spartan campground, but there's a lot of dirt, and if we do get Joe, that second wave, and it dumps a lot of rain, as the European is claiming it will for Thursday night and Friday. That is a very muddy campground. I have been at Stellafane. Sometimes we refer to it as Stella Flood when we have those heavy rains. You don't want to be there when it rains very heavily. So let us root against the European and cheer on both the GFS and the Canadian models, which are basically just keeping not entirely dry, but mostly dry for that part of New England for the upcoming weekend ahead. And
Keith J.
Other than that, the other thing I want to mention is that on my Facebook page yesterday, you know how the memory page pops up to show you stuff that you posted on a specific date from years ago. And yesterday, apparently, is the 1-year anniversary of Itzaia. And we all remember what Itzaia did. But Itzaia is the I storm. And here we are now, a year later, in this particular tropical cyclone season, and we're only up to E, Elsa. So we have E, F, G, H, I. So we're about 4 names behind last year.
Well, clearly we're not going to be on that record pace again.
Right. But then again, in other years, like when you and I were being reared or coming up in this business in the 70s and 80s, in those years, those were the times when we would just barely be past A or B by this point.
And you might not even get to the E. You wouldn't even get to the E storm until maybe mid or late September in some seasons.
Correct.
So
correct.
Yeah, it is certainly a different setup this year in the tropics. Even though they have which we'll get to. I'll spend a little time on that. But so I'll save my response and go back to the European. Keith James, you sort of got your answer with regards to Thursday. Root for the Canadian for the Guns N' Roses concert at MetLife Stadium so that you don't have to deal with any rain. But looking at the upper air for the long range, you see the trough here in the east. Again, for this time of year, this is a very deep trough and the very strong ridge that is up in the west that goes all the way up into the Canadian Northwest. Now that ridge flattens, the bottom part of the trough drops down into the Ohio Valley. You've got the ridge out in the Atlantic that's starting to build back westward, and only builds back so much. And then, of course, you start to swing in to later next weekend and into next week. We're going to see the westerlies pull up a little bit. So I'm thinking that after we get through whatever happens late Thursday or Friday, that will probably get very warm and humid over next weekend and into next week. Another trough is already dropping down from Great Slave Lake to Lake Winnipeg come next Wednesday. And another upper high seems to be building up into the Canadian Northwest from off the Pacific side. It's hard, we get these occasional runs, Joe, lately that want to bring a long duration heat wave into the eastern part of the United States, and everybody seems to jump on it. And I just come back to the fact that the trough in the east has been persistent here since back in May. And we saw how persistent it was during June. So the trend is your friend. That has always been something that I stuck with. Patterns are going to stay the way they are. Models are going to try to do different things and change them around and move weather systems around to different positions. But until you see something definitive, I'm just pulling up the 6Z, beyond 240 hours, which, by the way, a tropical system does appear at this point. I've been saying that after August 8th, when we get rid of that upper low out in the Atlantic to reduce the shear. So let's see if that winds up playing according to plan. But if you look at the GFS from last night, another deep-looking trough drops into the eastern part of the United States around mid-month and hangs around along the East Coast as a tropical system moves westward. Who knows if that's real or not? But my point is that troughs want to be in the eastern part of the United States, and they keep dropping in there. And I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the long range that suggests that something different is going to occur.
I'm looking also as you advance, Joe, that tropical system that is crossing the Atlantic and seemingly making its way toward the U.S. coastline. Although, well, let's see if that trough lifts out, if that might open the door. But what are we talking about, Joe? We're talking about
no, yeah, I'm not.
4 hours.
Yeah, I'm just generally speculating over the idea that we keep seeing troughs dropping into the eastern part of the United States. That to me is going to persist. I don't see how it's not going to. It just everything seems to keep pointing to the fact that we keep dropping these troughs into eastern Canada. This is another one where the model kind of takes the southern part of it, and obviously it's going to change. But I would again caution that if we keep seeing these troughs dropping into the east, and there's a tropical system around when that happens. We saw that already with Elsa coming up the coast. Granted, it was a tropical storm and it wasn't much of one when it reached up our latitude. But the point is that if it's already happened once, it would not at all be a surprise to me that it winds up happening again. And
the F storm, and it's the F storm, so that would be Fred, ladies and gentlemen.
Fred, Mertz, McMurray. Here's the. I want to pull up the shears map. The 200 to 850 millibar wind shear map on the GFS. This is something that you want to look at during tropical storm season, and you see here on this is day 11, so we're talking about August 12th, but it does have a 989 tropical system there east of the Leeward Islands, and I'm just going to roll back a couple of frames as soon as it loads up, as I want to look at that upper low. And come on, load those maps up, please. Well, you can see, by the way, on 180. Come on. There's a ton. It's 168, so we're 7 days out. and this is Sunday, August 8th. So look, some kind of strong tropical wave or even a closed low obviously moves off the African coast. There is strong shear south of where that low is. So now the low is coming up north of 10 degrees north, and that's one of the things you look for when you see these systems come off the African coast. You want them to come off north of 10 and south of 15. If you're looking for them to develop, if that's what you're thinking, if a system's going to develop, you look at that zone between 10 and 15. Now, south of there, you've got winds in the upper atmosphere that are, you start off with some easterly shear, and then, this is frustrating when the circle of death comes, but there it is. That's the one I was looking for. So here's the upper low I'm talking about. Out in the Atlantic here, in the central Atlantic, this is way up at 200 millibars. So that is responsible for the hostile environment that we've been seeing in the last week to 10 days. But that upper low migrates westward and then starts to lift up and out. And that's when you begin to open the door for the potential for tropical storm development. You've got a large area of light shear south of the Cape Verde Islands and then points northward. There's easterly shear to the south of that. That low moves along and gradually the shear disappears, and you start to get into, that system actually has a nice looking upper high that's sitting right over it. So the conditions are certainly going to become more favorable, and also looks like maybe a series of waves are going to start moving off the African coast once we get through next week. So that may not be the only system that we'll have to deal with down the road as activity begins to really pick up. But interestingly enough, that upper low sitting in the tropical in the subtropical Atlantic there is. In fact, right now, it's actually dropping southwestward from the Azores. And you can see that shear, that very strong shear in the orange in the central Atlantic around that upper low. It moves westward and then starts to lift northward and pulls out. Once that happens, that, I think, opens the door for tropical cyclone development in the MDR, the major development region. So that...
And it has been quiet. It has been quiet. I mean, Elsa was when? Elsa was what, 2-3 weeks ago, it seems?
Yeah.
I don't have
it's been dead. We had that one little system that tried to spin up off the southeast coast and the Florida coast, and it just didn't have it. The upper air was not good. The bottom part of the atmosphere wasn't very good either. So, yeah, and it's not unusual. July oftentimes is quiet in fact, I think July oftentimes is more quiet than June, as was the case this year. But now, of course, we're now into August, and things are definitely going to start revving up. But they're not going to get it. I think, Joe, the bottom line is we're not going to have as many named storms as we did last year, but I think we're going to wind up with more hurricanes, and maybe more. The majors may wind up being even more formidable than the majors were last year.
Right. And it was Neil Frank who told me in a radio interview that I did with him, Neil Frank, the former director of the National Hurricane Center. This goes back over 40 years now. My goodness. How time flies, doesn't it? But he told me way back then that July... Yeah, what?
No, isn't time wonderful? The days feel like eternities sometimes, and the years just fly by.
It does. He said to me way back then, July is a slack month. When I was asking about hurricane season, he said, "Well, July is a slack month. We don't really have so much to talk about during that month." And the other thing that I remember, Joe, is that with Hurricane Gloria in 1985, it was Dr. Frank, and he literally sat in a chair at the Hurricane Center and did dozens of on-site interviews with TV and radio stations all across the nation, warning everybody how dangerous and how potentially deadly Gloria could be to the East Coast of the United States. And then when Gloria passed on by and did hardly anything in terms of significant damage or the taking of any lives, the news media actually turned on Dr. Frank, saying, "Well, you said that we were going to have all of this death and destruction or whatever, and what happened? What happened?" And I said to myself, it almost sounds like the news media was hoping that we would have all of that destruction. And poor Dr. Frank now had to come back and say, well, we didn't say that there would be definitely all of that. We said there was the high potential, the high risk. It seems actually like sometimes the news media gets PO'd that the destruction that was anticipated or alluded to doesn't happen. Is that weird?
Yeah, it is. And by Jason Schaefer, that is actually very funny. So the F storm, Joe, is Ethel, is Fred.
It's Fred,
right? And Elsa is a replacement name for the E storm. They should have had Ethel.
Ethel. That's right.
Ethel and Fred. That would have been hilarious. But you wonder. There was actually I think in the 50s, Ethel was a storm that they used, a name that they used on one of those years.
Oh, well, in 1959, when Burns and Allen were on television and they were a high-rated show, the G storm of 1959 was Gracie.
Gracie. Yeah.
How many Gracies do you know? The only other Gracie everybody knew was Fred, was George Burns.
George Burns.
Gracie.
I mean, there was Grace. There's Hurricane Grace and Gracie.
Right.
And yes, we did have Ethel. I think in one of those years in the 50s there was an Ethel. And
so
remember,
the retired Ethel.
And remember, you go farther with Ethel.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, the world we live in. By the way,
could you allow me to share the screen?
Yeah, you have sharing capabilities. You don't need.
I do.
Yeah, I've had it from the onset. Yes.
Hold on. Oh, okay, very good. So here's what I'm going to do for Janet Dunn. We love you, Janet, because she has a big concert tonight in Westwood. So I just thought I would throw up the RPM model, and this way we can look at the RPM and see whether or not the concert is at 8 o'clock tonight. So let's just see what the RPM is suggesting for 8 p.m. I presume Westwood is somewhere around here, maybe right above the G in LGA for LaGuardia.
That's close enough.
And this is the map for 2330Z, which would be 6:30 tonight. So the concert is at 8 o'clock. So here's 6:30, here's 7. Ooh, that looks pretty good for you so far, Janet. 7:30. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. 8:30. 9 o'clock. Now we have the reds and the oranges over Westwood. 9:30. 10 o'clock.
That's 11 o'clock, Joe. Hey, Joe. You're an hour behind.
What? Oh, I'm thinking about standard time.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So this is 4Z is midnight.
Right.
No. 4Z is midnight. Midnight, 11:30, 11 o'clock. Hey, Janet, I have a suggestion. Can you hold the concert off until about midnight? Because it looks like everything is.
Well, either that or get it done by 8 o'clock or so. That's 9 o'clock. That's 9 o'clock. 1Z's 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
9Z is 1Z is 9 o'clock.
I hate daylight time.
I know, so do I.
Will we get rid of daylight time?
By the way, can you go down geographically down to Southern Virginia, North Carolina, so we could take a look and see what kind of a line it generates down there?
Sure. Hang on. I would presume it's the southeast, right?
Yeah.
I can go. Let me just. All right. So let me just stop.
Well, there's that one. There it is. Look, there's that line for in the slight risk in the zone that has tornado risk today in eastern North Carolina and southeast Virginia. So you'll see. So
yeah, you can see that's where early action. Look at that. Yeah.
Right.
That's for 23.
See, and that time's right at during the maximum daytime heating.
Right. And then we move all of that off. Yeah, it's pretty well gone, by midnight, 2 a.m. or whatever. So there you go.
And there you have it. So do we have?
Janet,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe. You were about to say.
No, I was just going to say, Janet Dunn. How's that for service, Janet? I mean, we aims to please. Well, I don't know if she finds this, what we just told her to be pleasurable, but what the heck. Janet Dunn says late night party in the park. I would love to be able to cancel or delay the concert. No good, concert slated for 8 to 10 p.m. All right, well,
By the way,
maybe you can play.
it's August 1st. Still haven't hit 90 here at my house. We did hit it.
All right.
We did hit it in town, but not where I am in the mountains. So I'm enjoying, Joe. The nights here are unbelievable. It's so now you wake up in the morning. There's low clouds. There's fog. It's damp. It's cool. It's in the low and mid 60s. It's wonderful. I could deal with the hot weather during the daytime if the nights are reasonable, and here the nights are more than very reasonable. And Bill Rogers wants to know if I got my hands on the venison hot dogs yet. No, but I did find out. I did find a butcher, a local butcher that I was told may have them. So, but it's Sunday here, and everything is closed on Sunday. So I have to wait for I have to wait for tomorrow.
Good.
Oh no, Sunday
New
here.
laws are still in effect.
Well, if you the big box stores are open. You know, Walmart's open. The Ingles,
Right.
which is the local supermarket chain here, is open, and those types of things. But any kind of local business, family, business, they all shut on. They not only shut on Sundays, Joe. They actually shut down on Saturdays. Some people they shut down at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and certainly by 4 or 5 o'clock. They're closed. And if you want a haircut, most haircut places here are the place where I get my haircuts. They close during the week at 5, and on Saturdays they close at 1. They're only open for a couple of hours.
And Timothy Veldman on the chat board, Hurricane Ethel was a Category 3 major hurricane in September of 1960 that caused $1.5 million damage and 1 indirect fatality. In 1960, so that was the same year that Donna came along.
Right, it was
So
right
maybe
after Donna.
Ethel came after Donna.
Yes.
Wow, that was a very active month.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I don't think they use that name ever again. So, you know what? There's one other thing. I put Joe Miano, and he was on the chat board earlier. I don't know if he's still on there, but he did mention, and let's take a look at this because it's kind of interesting. I'll go back to the GFS because we don't really look at this very often. But let's bring up South America because apparently it's been snowing in parts of Brazil for the first time in over 60 years. Now, remember, it's wintertime down there, so it's always fun to take a look at these things. So let's take a look at these things, and I'll bring up a map. So just bear with me here, folks, okay? Oh, nope, that's Carol Merrill.
I'd rather look at Carol Merrill.
That's Mrs. Bundy. Okay, I lost that screen again. Hold on a second. This is one of the stranger technical issues that I'm having today. But this is what happens with technology. Okay, there we go. So there's South America. And the 6 hours. All right, so it must have been over with because there's not much going on here on the GFS. It's actually most of South America looks bone dry. Go a little further south so we could see. Now, there is snow down way to the south, down in southern Chile and Argentina. Yeah, I'm just kind of, there's your big high up offshore, and the snow's down in the south in Chile. Here comes another system. It's in the lower right corner. Got to see what the time frame is now because I moved through a bunch of frames. So this is at 132 hours. So this is on Friday. Yeah, so I guess whatever happened, I mean, with respect to that snow, it's obviously already over with, but it is wintertime down in South America and in the southern part of Africa. They do get cold air intrusions from Antarctica that push northward. I always have to remember, that's we're so used to direction references from north to south, weather system, cold air coming from the north. Down there, cold air comes up from the south, so it's a whole different mindset.
And of course, don't forget that the flow is opposite to what we have in the northern hemisphere. So, in terms of the rotation around a high pressure system, it is not clockwise; it is counterclockwise.
Right. Correct. Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're back full screen. Is Mrs. Rayo available for a little Sunday Briller Jeopardy cooking?
Mrs. Rayo.
Yoo-hoo, Fred and Ethel.
Yoo-hoo.
Oh, and while she's waiting, here's an over 60 experience. So I took my dog down to the dog park this morning.
I'm here.
So I took my dog down to the dog park this morning, and as we were leaving, I couldn't find my car keys. Okay. Now I always carry an extra set of keys with me, so I had a car key to get home with, but the original car keys that you get when you buy a car, which now cost hundreds of dollars to replace, well,
Right.
I couldn't find it. Now the only thing I did was I got out of my truck when I arrived, got the dog out, walked into the dog play area, sat down, and after that, got up, went back to the car. I couldn't imagine where the keys were. I looked and looked and looked. I must have looked for about 10 minutes, couldn't find them, threw my hands up, and then I found them. They were in the ignition.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
About it. So that's where.
And then I get home, and I had just gotten the car out of the car, and I thought I was afraid that I had left the keys in the ignition, and I didn't, but I couldn't find them in my pockets. So I like tearing my pockets apart. But this time, after about a minute, I found them. I was holding them in my hand.
Do you remember, or maybe?
No, I don't remember. That's the problem, Joe. I don't remember. I don't remember anything.
There was one time when our good friend Bill Corbell was doing the weather on News 12 Long Island, and he was trying to change the maps, and he said, "There's something wrong with my clicker. There's apparently nothing changing." And all of a sudden, he looks down and he said, "Oh," and he starts cracking up, which is very unusual because you don't see Bill actually lose it, but he was really losing it. And he looked at it. He said, "You want to know why it's not changing?" He said, "Because this is my car alarm."
Exactly.
Which was the same thing as his the talent switch that we used to use
Exactly.
to change the map. And so apparently he had left his talent switch on his desk, and he had brought his car. All right.
By the way, wait. Before, just real quick,
Wait
before you bring Renat on. So we had a poll. I had a poll up today, and this was submitted by the this was submitted by the chairman, Scott Briller, and the poll question is with reference to Central Park in New York, the normal number of 90-degree days for a given summer is 17. So far, it has hit 90 degrees 12 times. Will it exceed 17 for the season? And that 58% of the voters, we had 72 votes, Joe, 58% said yes and 42% no.
Okay.
Anyway, that was the poll for today.
So based upon what our chat board suggests, we will indeed surpass the normal or the average number of 90-degree days this year at Central Park.
Right.
And we shall see.
But with only 5 more to go, I would have thought that number would have wound up being higher. So there's a little caution in there, I think we could read into it. 58-42.
The assumption then would be that we just put the brakes on all the warm weather and just arbitrarily stay unusually or unseasonably cool or below normal through the rest of August, which has just started, on into September. I tell you what, we'll stay cool in August and September, and we'll have a wave of 90-degree days hit in October. Has that ever happened? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
so.
No.
The odd day, yes,
right.
but not in a stretch. All right, let's bring on.
So now for the third time, I will summon the first time I summoned her, you did the story about losing your car key. The second time I summoned her, you had told a story about the pole. I'm now ushering her in for the third time, and I'm going to give her my headphones. And here she is, Miss Cookie herself.
Nice.
Okey-dokey.
I must
Hi.
tell Renata. I must tell you to start off the bat. Start off the bat. Your group picture from the reception. You looked stunning.
Oh, thank you very much.
You really did. You
Thank you
looked
very much.
absolutely stunning.
All the ladies went to the salon and got our hair and makeup done and so forth. So
Right.
yeah, it was a great day.
Well, it's always been my theory that when women dress for these things, they're not dressing for their men; they're dressing for other women.
Well, we're dressing for the event.
Exactly.
For everyone.
Exactly. So today, it's a top 10. So what are the
Okay.
10 best selling soft drinks in America? Okay.
Ooh, okay,
The
that's
10
changed in recent years
Yes,
because of everybody's,
yes,
dietary,
things.
outlooks.
Right. The baseball rules apply here. So here are your hints. Three major companies have at least two varieties in their top 10, and one of the top 10 begins with the letter F.
One of the top 10 begins with the letter F.
As in Frank.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so
All right,
let
so-
us begin.
Top 10. Okay, so I'm going to say right off the bat, Coke.
Number 1 is Coca-Cola.
Right. Okay, so, and Pepsi's got to be there.
Number 2 is Pepsi.
Okay.
Now let's see if you can keep it.
Okay,
Let's see if you can
right.
keep this sequential.
Highly doubt it. Oh, okay. Now, these are soft drinks. Are they all carbonated?
Yes,
Oh, really? They're
Yeah.
all carbonated.
they're all sodas.
So we're not looking at.
We're not looking
They're
at
all-
our drinks and all the. This is actually we're looking at all
okay.
sodas.
Okay. All sodas. All right. I'm going to say ginger ale's got to be there.
Nope, ginger ale is not on the list. You have one strike.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy
surprisingly.
mackerel. Yeah, because a lot of bar drinks get made with ginger ale. All right. Orange drink. Like a Fanta.
Fanta
or
is your
Sun-
letter. Yeah, Fanta is your letter F. It's number 9.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Number 9. Okay. Oh gosh, help. We're not big soda drinkers anymore either. Only time I get a hold of a soda is when perhaps we go somewhere, do something or whatever. Holy mackerel. Still reeling from the fact that ginger ale's not there. Okay, root beer.
No root beer.
Oh my gosh.
And remember, these
So
are brand.
no-
These are all brand names, so you'd have to.
Oh,
But there's no root
okay.
beer, no root beer brands on here. So that's your second strike.
no root beer bed. Oh my gosh. Like, how about like a sun-kissed orange drink?
No.
Okay.
So you've already got 3 strikes
I-
on you. So
I already got 3 strikes. Am I supposed to say like Diet Coke? or
yes, diet.
Pepsi and all that?
Well, you just said
Oh.
Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi. Diet Coke is number 3. Diet Pepsi is number 7.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Number 7. Oh, okay.
All right, so let me help you with this. So
let's-
I will tell you.
yeah,
I will tell you that 7 Up,
There's one I just remembered was oh yeah.
Seven-
That was Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper is number 4. Okay, number
Really?
4. Yes. Now, 7 Up
Oh,
is
Mountain Dew. Mountain
Mountain
Dew is
Dew.
really- down
Mountain.
south and in the Midwest.
Oh
And
God,
yeah.
yes, god awful stuff. Mountain Dew is number 5. Okay,
Okay.
and now 7 Up is not on there, but there is a version of 7 Up that's on there.
Like Sprite.
Like Sprite. Sprite is number 6. Okay, so you actually have 2 left. Okay, so we have Coke, Pepsi, Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, Sprite, Diet Pepsi. You're missing number 8 and number 10. Now, I will just tell you that they are both they're both produced by companies that are on this list. So,
Huh.
and there's 2 left.
And there's 2 left. You know what? I can't think of one.
Well, all right. Well, one of them is another Coke product.
Product. Well, I was gonna guess. No, I don't think that's. There is there like another lemon lime drink or something? No.
In a manner of speaking, I guess maybe you could say yes. Another 7-Up-ish type drink.
Sierra Mist in there?
No.
Nope.
No. So the Coke, other Coke product is Coke Zero.
Coke Zero.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed
And
that.
and this final one that's number 10, which to me, it's ridiculous, is that there actually is a Diet Mountain Dew.
Oh.
Now there are 2. By the way, of all these sodas, do you know which one has the most sugar and the most caffeine?
Mountain Dew.
Oh God, yes, Mountain Dew. And in fact,
Mountain Dew has an awful lot of caffeine. There's only one other soda that has more caffeine than Mountain Dew, and that's something called Jolt.
yes,
It's like
yeah,
it's a Coke, and then I think it's produced in up around like I don't know, Rochester or Syracuse, something
Yeah.
like that, upstate.
but
New York.
down. I remember seeing a story on 60 Minutes back a couple of years ago that in this part of the country that I'm in the South, but particularly when you go in the mountains in Appalachia and in other areas, that Mountain Dew is given to toddlers and
Yeah.
kids under the age of
Right.
5, and as a result,
They get
it,
hooked.
well, and all their baby teeth are rotted out. There was a story about a couple of dentists. They got themselves a van, and they would go from town to town doing free dental work on these toddlers, and it's all due to Mountain Dew. And also the calories in Mountain Dew, because there's so much sugar, the calories are enormous. So it's not only that they have dental problems, but they have these kids under the age of 5 with weight issues, which is, it's a sad story, but it always strikes me because I abhorred sugar. I really don't like sweet things at all. I mean, I'll drink Coke I'll have a Coke every once in a while, but I don't know
That's
how.
a treat.
I don't know how people. I don't know how. What was the? What's that high energy? Oh God, the can is right in front of me. The blue and silver can, Red Bull.
Red Bull,
I don't know how people. I drank a Red Bull once when I was driving from Long Island to the Outer Banks of North Carolina and driving overnight to try to stay awake. I drank a Red Bull. Oh my God, it was the most god awful stuff I have ever tasted. It was literally pure sugar and caffeine, but the sugar part of it hurt to have it in your mouth. I could feel my teeth dissolving. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, you looked fantastic in your in your wedding outfit that you had on. The gown was beautiful. Your hair was fabulous. It was terrific. So I hope you have.
Yeah, that lasted for 2 days. All that hairspray.
I'm sure. Spray mount. It just wouldn't move. Well, anyway, you have yourself a great Sunday. And
Okay, everyone likewise.
where's Mr. Rayo? Is he still?
Mr. Rayo. And we won't be here next Sunday. So,
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
yeah.
Taking some time
We'll be in
off, little
Vermont.
vacay.
Yeah, we'll be in Vermont.
Beautiful. Oh, that's right. You're going
And
for
today,
that weekend, the
the
Stellar thing.
Stellafane convention, and today is the last day for online registration and payment. That's has to be done completely online this year. Okay,
Yes.
so here's Joe. There we go.
Well, I was in the reading room, so while you were engaged in this with the missus, I pulled out something from the bookcase, which some of our younger people might find interesting. The official World's Fair guide. I don't hear anything. Oh, you
There
are
you go.
talking.
I'm here.
There you go. Yes. The official World's Fair guide from 1964-65, which somehow or other we still have. And here's one particular
Well, it's a
exhibit.
collector's item.
Here's one particular exhibit, Joe. This was the United. This is one for you. The United Cigar exhibit.
Oh,
And they used to
nice.
blow smoke rings. They used to blow smoke rings near the unit.
Oh, too funny.
How's that?
Too funny
Yes, you can
indeed.
put this back in the bookshelf or whatever.
This has got to be worth something.
Yeah,
Probably more than $20.
that and $20.
Yes.
We just passed. I went past the early on Friday morning. We went past Flushing Meadows, and you could still see all of the Unisphere is still there, and there's these two towers. I think they used to be restaurants that have been sitting out there for like 50 years, deteriorating in the sun, the wind, and the rain. They do absolutely nothing, but they still stand there. It's amazing to me that they're still out there, and they weren't torn down or taken down. But
Yeah, you would think that by this
Anyway.
time they would have, but I guess they just left them up as they're inside that Flushing Meadow Park there, so
right,
I suppose
right.
they're not harming anybody, or no one
No.
else has figured out to something to replace them. Okay, so we'll be
Yeah.
back. We'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks for those of you who participated in the poll. You can support this channel, by the way, by clicking on the Amazon link. If you shop on Amazon, you don't have to buy what's on there. There are some suggested things that I have found along the way, including some weather books and weather equipment. But if you just use that link and go on the search bar and buy whatever it is you're going to buy. You get your stuff, and Amazon kicks us back a little bit of coin out of their pocket. Doesn't cost you a thing, and it does go a long way to help support what we're doing here on an almost daily basis. So we'll see you tomorrow night, folks, 7:30 Eastern Time. Severe weather coverage, if there's going to be any today, will be on my weather platform on Patreon, patreon.com/meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Nighty-night, everybody. Well, nighty-night. Let's go at midday nighty-nights. See you on Monday.
Something like that.
Yes.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Yes.